She loved life. She loved her friends. She really was just pure joy.
She was everything a little girl should be. She was a little angel.
It wasn't just two little girls that we lost. As a community, I think we lost a sense of innocence because this was a crime like no other. These murders were like nothing else we had ever experienced.
I just think we all could see our children in those two little girls.
In 1990, 163 children went missing in Texas, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
I'll never give up hope.
Two of them were 11-year-old Heidi Seeman and 7-year-old Erica Botello, both from San Antonio.
Incidents like what happened to these children, these abductions, are what strike at our worst fears, and I think strike to the core of each and every one of us.
The abductions of Erica Botello and Heidi Seeman appear to have sparked a fear throughout San Antonio neighborhoods. Parents concerned their child could be next.
On August 4th, Heidi Seeman was walking along a stretch of Stall Road on the city's northeast side when she disappeared.
She had spent the night at her friend Whitney's house, and she was supposed to be home at noon, and we noticed she wasn't home at 12:30, and she was always on time, so we knew something was wrong right away.
And they were right. A quick call to Whitney's house revealed that the girls walked together to a halfway point between their homes. As Whitney began walking back to her own home, she looked back to check on Heidi, but she was gone.
The distance between where she was when she was safe having a sleepover and the turnoff that she had to take to get back into safety in her own neighborhood, I mean, it was the blink of an eye.
Over the following days and weeks, the San Antonio community showed up in full force. HEB offered a $5,000 reward for information. Spurs players offered their support and assistance.
Whatever they ask me to do, I'm willing to help in any way I can.
And Mayor Lila Cockrell even declared August 11th as Find Heidi Day, a day that brought out tens of thousands of search volunteers.
Because I know that my parents would be real worried if they lost me, and I was real concerned, so I wanted to help out.
It was also during this time that what would later become the Heidi Search Center began to emerge.
The center was extremely important. I don't think the public understands. Until you don't know where your child is or your loved ones, the absolute terror that does not get better with time, that does not lessen, that does not go away.
This never happens again.
It was a terror the Seamans knew all too well. And 21 days into the search for Heidi,
Yellow ribbons.
It was a terror another San Antonio family would soon understand.
Volunteers continue streaming in, intent on finding 7-year-old Erica Marie Botello, kidnapped from her West Side home 2 days ago.
Like Heidi, Botello was outside when she went missing.
Maria Botello says she's thankful for all the help and wants only one thing.
I just want my daughter back. She's okay. We want her home, and whoever has her, please bring her home, please.
On August 23rd, the already well-organized effort to search for Heidi Seeman expanded as volunteers also began looking for Erica Botello.
Well, we couldn't believe that another child was missing, and she was even younger and smaller than Heidi. And when they came to us and they said another child is missing, we were devastated for the other family.
Heidi's father, Curt Seeman, offered words of shared understanding with the Botellos.
I feel if I can help a little bit, I want to. I know what this family is going through, and I want to help them get through it if I can.
Normally a place where kids could safely run wild and free, San Antonio was on high alert, and parents were holding their children close.
It's scary is all I can say, and that's why we need the people to volunteer and people to be aware that this is everybody's children. It can be anybody's child.
KENS 5 anchor Deborah Knapp and reporter Sue Kalberg, both of whom covered the girls' cases extensively at the time, say things changed in San Antonio, seemingly overnight.
And it happened in the blink of an eye. And I think that's why it scared us so badly, because everybody felt like that could be me.
Be more careful and watch your children more, because that's what I'm doing at my home, is watching her more.
I had small children, and you just didn't want them out of your sight. You know, we had stranger danger. It's a rare thing that a stranger kidnaps a child, but here we had a case with 2 children.
Parents, warn your children.
On August 26th, the search for Botello would come to an end.
We went down as we were told. We cleared about 200 feet. There was an obstacle in the way. Identified as a corpse. That's all I can say.
Decades later, Joseph Jabalanski recalls finding the missing 7-year-old.
I remember screaming. I screamed at the top of my lungs. And I tried to backtrack my way out of the tunnel as fast as I knew how. What I saw was wrong. What I saw needed to be fixed. And somebody needed to be brought to justice because of that.
The following day, it was confirmed that a body found in a field in Wimberley was that of young Heidi Seeman. Funeral services for both girls were held on the same day.
This is one of the most tragic days I can ever remember in the city as we say goodbye to two precious little girls, and it's very, very difficult.
As the city mourned, investigators got to work.
It's an all-too-common scene. American justice, TV style.
During the girls' separate murder investigations, several people were looked at.
The search isn't over.
Including Major Eric Duncan, an early leader in the search efforts and the former supervisor of Heidi's father, Curt Seeman.
As the Air Force's investigation progressed, the circumstantial evidence against Eric Duncan continued to mount.
Circumstantial evidence that, according to the Air Force affidavit filed in the case, included Duncan's car matching the description of the car Heidi's friend had seen prior to her disappearance. The affidavit also stated that Duncan's appearance fit the description for the driver of that car. Charges filed against Duncan by Heidi's father through the military judicial system were ultimately dropped.
The one suspect that they did have from the Air Force OSI, it looked like the case they had against him was fairly strong, but the SAP didn't believe that. I'm not sure exactly why, but what they showed us as far as a witness rights briefing, I don't know that he did it either. I can't say that for sure, but it sure did seem like it.
Duncan's attorney at the time explains why he thinks investigators look so closely at his client.
If you recall, he was very active in the search for the young victim. And sometimes, whether it's justified or not, that makes you a target.
The San Antonio Police Department had a target of their own, Gerry neighbor, but he was cleared when DNA test results came back negative. In Erica's case, several arrests were made.
31-year-old Kenneth Earl Pope, 32-year-old Sherman Bedford, and 17-year-old Roderick Springs. Police had witnesses and even obtained a confession.
But according to San Antonio police, 2 of the 3 suspects charged in Erica's murder were no-billed by a grand jury, while the case against the 3rd suspect was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. When contacted for comment on the case, a department spokesperson said, quote, "There is no other information or evidence to indicate that anyone other than the listed suspects were involved in this crime. The case is considered closed by arrest," end quote. In response to requests for comment on Erica Botello's case, Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez stated, quote, "Because there is no statute of limitations for the offense of capital murder, should the investigating agency obtain new evidence and file a case with our office for review, we could present it to a grand jury for possible indictment," end quote. As for Heidi, her case is now in the hands of the Texas Rangers. Trampus Gooding, who became the lead investigator in Heidi's case back in 2007, said in a statement to KENS 5 that he is, quote, "fighting to make this case one that will see results," end quote.
You think about all the things you didn't get to do, the school dances with them growing up and marrying, and, their high school graduation or college graduation or things like that. You miss those all the time, and you're reminded of them when you see other families. It's hard.
And while their daughter's killer has never been brought to justice, Mrs. Seeman says she hasn't given up hope.
I haven't completely given up. It's hard to have hope 30 years later, but they have solved cases later.
Rather than focus on their daughters' deaths, Heidi's older sister, Heather, died unexpectedly in 2019. The Seamans choose to celebrate the girls' lives and all the good that came of the Heidi Search Center prior to its closing in 2018.
We had statistics that we kept over 27 years, and so out of around 4,000 cases, 98% were located, 94% located alive.
I think she would be very proud of all of the work the Heidi Search Center did.
I do too.
I think she would be happy with that. And I think that would make her smile.
They have a wall of hope.
I think her legacy is love. She saw the good, and I think that helps us see the good. I think it helps other people see the good.
Megan Ball, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.